There we go.
All right.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Hello, Tim.
Good to see you.
Better to see you. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that we finally get to work together on something. You
Yeah,
know?
I'm excited. I love your motif back there.
Thank you. Thank you very
It's
much.
gorgeous.
It's
And
part of
we all did
my live streaming setup, and also my music studio and room. Countless records, and of course the disco ball. So
every home needs a disco ball.
damn right. Or no, they can live without one, but I can't live without mine.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get one for our house. We're definitely gonna have to.
You better.
Well, I'm grateful, that you were willing to come and talk to me about this because you are, aside from just being a great DJ, a connoisseur of music, you are also a historian.
Yes.
And so, being able to dig into a record is it's a rare gift. A lot of people don't analyze the works. And so I knew we have a connection through Teena. And so I knew this would be a fun conversation if we could pick a record.
Right. She had so many. She put out quite a bit of stuff in the years that she was with us. So, but everyone always talks about the Motown output. We all know about Square Biz. We all know about Portuguese Love. We all know about all of that. So
right.
I think it's a good idea that we decided to take on one of her most, well, at least to the public at the time, problematic albums.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and so let's set it up a little bit. So I do want to go find out from you, like, how did you come in contact with Teena's music? Like, what was your discovery of Teena?
Well, I'm going to try to make this quick. I know we only have an hour, but my family is in radio and music.
Okay.
My grandfather owned the first black-owned, black-ran terrestrial radio station in Western New York, which is actually still in existence, WFO AM 1080, and owned it for years. I mean, he was... we had folks like Frankie Crocker and Jerry Bledsoe, these legends that came from the station and ended up moving on to bigger markets.
Yes.
Grandparents had 5 kids. My mom happened to be one of the only ones that kind of stayed in radio and everything. So when they moved to Florida, because I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, they all moved from Buffalo to Florida in '82. And my mom inadvertently became the first live on-air mixing DJ in Northeast Florida. Also the first black woman to program a station. I got to get this right because I know she's watching. Program a radio station in Florida. The first black female to do that, and the first female to program a rock radio station in Florida as well. And yeah. So that being said. Records and records and records galore. We've always had them, and she never stopped mixing on air when she was pregnant with me. Like that was like 6 days a week. So music was in me from the jump. And I'm also the chief historian and creator of Soul Train Fans. Got to throw that out there.
No, I was going to ask you to. Yes.
The world's largest Soul Train fan community that's been around for almost 20 years.
That's right.
And this is all a part of this. Because music has just always been there. And Teena Marie has always been there. Being that there's a Buffalo connection, because Rick James, one of the first stations that played Rick James was WFO when my grandfather was the general manager there. So Rick is like a family friend, a cousin, if you will. And when Teena Marie started putting out these records, I mean, everyone was into it and everything like that. And again, when I, started really paying attention to music, which was like 5 or 6 years old, and actually digging through like my grandparents and my parents' garages and everything like that, she was always there. Like we knew about Lover Girl and Square Biz and all of that stuff. I paid attention to radio, was very observant. I was of course watching BET, Soul Train, MTV, Showtime at the Apollo, and she was still putting out output at that time. So that's pretty much how I found out about her. In fact, I dare to say that Emerald City was the first record that I listened to in full, rather,
Wow.
from Teena Marie. As I'm
Wow.
like thinking about this, you know, I've had a month to prepare for this,
Right.
so so I've done a little soul searching, you know. So yeah,
Wow. Well, let's set up a little context for people. So,
all right,
Emerald City came out in 1986
yes,
on the heels of this record, Star
nice,
Child, which
hmm
was her commercial. I mean, her, when we say commercial, she was already successful.
right,
You know, she
right,
was an established soul artist on her way to being a legend at this point already.
true, very much so,
But this was her pop breakthrough. Um, so 1984, 85, 84 this came out, 85 Lover Girl hit. And
right.
so everybody I think expected her to come back with this Star Child Part 2. And I mean, I think the thing we have to raise is that throughout, if you go back and read a lot of the press that she was doing, she was already getting uncomfortable in some
Right,
sense with the expectations and what people were wanting.
right,
Audiences, as the audience was looking a little different, what they wanted from
right,
her. And so I feel like, and Emerald City is, uh, to me, when I hear Emerald City, it's an invitation for
right,
those new people to say, okay, you want to love Teena Marie? Well, let me tell you where Teena Marie comes from, who Teena
exactly.
Marie is,
Oh man,
what's
exactly,
underneath there,
right.
and you can make a decision about whether you want to continue on this path with me or if you just want to keep loving Lover
Right.
Girl.
And the problem there was coming from Motown. And remember, she was on Motown for what was that? Was it 79 to 82, 83? And
Yes.
then also that backstory that Tina Marie like waited for years and years and years to get on Motown.
She basically had a decade. I mean, it was by the time she got out of her contract, she had to have been there for at least
8
8 years.
years, right? So almost a decade. Okay, so now here we are, and then, of course, the way that she left, it wasn't, quite amicable. So here we are with that, and then she leaves at a time where she is among the big fish in the pond.
Her and Rick.
Okay, like we can go back and we could talk about chart history, we could talk about album releases, we can talk about all of that stuff. Um, and because not only her association with Rick, but mainly because she was putting out hits on her own,
Yes.
she was there. So she
Yes.
leaves, and Motown is still an independent label at that time. She leaves Motown, and of course, it's a kind of a shady thing that they did to her, and laws and all that other stuff that happened, and everything because they were trying to hold material on her and not release anything. So right. So now here we are. She's at Epic, and Epic is a whole different animal. Epic is
Yes.
one of the big record labels, and here, and they don't know what to do with her. They don't know what to do with her. And I think, even though Lover Girl was a great album or a great record, Star Child was a great record. Uh, I do believe that happened on the fluke. It happened
Totally.
on the fluke,
Totally.
because it was still her being funky and everything like that. And for whatever reason, pop radio picked this record up after them for numerous, well, 2 albums at least. They were trying their hardest to cross her over because love it or hate it, Tina Marie is not a blue-eyed soul artist. She is
No.
an R&B artist in every sense of the word. You cannot silence her and try to lighten her voice up. You can't Diana Ross Tina Marie. You
At
can't do
all.
that. Not at all. And they were doing that a lot, of course, for some people who aren't familiar with things that were happening in the 80s because of MTV generation and all that stuff that was happening. They were
Yes.
these record companies were doing so much. I mean, the absolute most to cross over these big voiced, brazen vocal, black female artists. And Tina Marie, while she wasn't black, had that big brazen voice. So yeah, so it was a
Well, and there's
conundrum, you know.
yes. Well, and I want to raise this because the New York Times wrote on the heels of Emerald City when she started promoting her next album. They wrote about her as a performer. She identifies so strongly with Black American attitudes. The top 40 radio programmers have always been a bit put off by her, seldom giving her singles the crossover airplay most quality white funk receives automatically.
Right.
And so there's a message in her music as well that I think was actually what was grating against the hard line, because these weren't just love songs.
Right.
She was writing, they were, when you boil it all down, they were political. Everything she did was political.
Everything she did. And I also think that Epic was trying to make her the great white hype. Again, going back to that crossover thing. I'm not really trying to, push that in, but it's the truth. They were trying to, they got her on some legit soundtracks, The Goonies, they got her on Top Gun, which was released around the same time. So her record, her voice is now being heard in these white movies. And they were trying their hardest to cross her over. Like, okay, well, we may not play on MTV, Michael Jackson, Prince, or Grace Jones, but we can play Teena Marie, And if we did this, that, and the third, and Teena Marie was like, we're not here for that. Not at all. Okay.
So let's talk about the backstory of Emerald City. So by the backstory, I mean, so back in the day, this is what I hate about digital music, because you can go to Spotify and listen to Emerald City, but what you aren't getting is this.
Right.
You aren't getting all of this, because there's little messages all around this record.
Right.
And so the context of Emerald City is an alter ego, in a sense, that Teena creates through this story that's on the back cover. Her alter ego is a girl named Pity, who we meet later in her work as well. Like this is our first encounter with Pity, but it's not the last. And so Pity has been reincarnated. She's had many existences before, and she's been many things before. Right. And she's decided from all of these other existences, gosh, it would be a whole lot easier if I was just green.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have to deal with stereotypes, because nobody else is green. So I'm just going to be green and introduce you to my world. And so in this story, she's basically setting you up for what you're going to get on this vinyl. Right. Even though the story really doesn't appear on the vinyl or in the songs. It doesn't appear in the songs. But you have to understand this.
That's the problematic part. Okay, right. Right. Oh man. Here's my thing about that. It's like, and I don't want to compare her to other artists, but there were a bunch of concept albums coming out around this time, specifically. And I feel like this was maybe what, other people were trying to go for, Prince's Around the World in a Day.
Right.
And someone agrees. Someone agrees. Okay. Or disagrees, never know. The thing with that is Prince very much so kind of bombed out on this album too, because a lot of people did not get it. They both came at a time where they were very much so hitting that pop market so strongly that, again, people were trying to look for anything that was like maybe a Purple Rain 2 and, a Lover Girl 2, Out on a Limb 2, things like that. And again, because Teena Marie is kind of vague booking this album, we don't know Pity. Like when we put the record on, we do not know Pity. It's like, just say we don't know it. So we're trying to figure out exactly where she's coming from with this. I don't.
Well, in the first
it's like the first record. That's it. Like there's Pity, and maybe if you are really trying to be specific, like digging deep, Sunny Skies, which wasn't even written for this album.
No.
This was written back in the early 80s when she was still with Rick and them. I wanted to say Rick and them. So, you know, but you can basically say that Sunny Skies was Pity saying, okay, this is my world, and I hope that you accept it or you don't accept it, but regardless, don't take it away from us. Don't take it away from me, you know. But again, when people are listening to records, they're trying to put it up, and we do it consciously and unconsciously. We are always saying, is it going to be as good as the last work? And unfortunately, maybe this is one of the reasons, of course. That's one of the reasons. But the other reason is how Epic just kind of dropped the ball altogether. You know, I just, you know, it's that. And then there's also, I don't know, I don't want to get ahead of myself. You know, we got an hour. So let's, but.
Well, I think the other thing we have to point out in talking about the concept of this record is that Rick James also put out a record the same year called The Flag.
Flag, right.
And so when you, to me, if you want to understand Emerald City, you also have to listen to The Flag. Or if you want to understand The Flag, you also have to listen to Emerald City.
Right.
Because the two concepts, which they did throughout the 80s, to me, their 80s records really reflect each other.
Sure do.
Or enhance each other in some ways, even if they're not the same content. The stories marry, you know. And so I was looking at The Flag today, thinking about that. And Rick wrote his own little, it's more like a creed on The Flag than a story. But he said something interesting about the color green. Right. And he's talking about the colors of the flag being red, black, and green. Right. And he says here, green symbolizes Earth, Mother Nature. The mother we must save and preserve in order for life to flow full. Enlightenment is attained and cosmic consciousness is achieved. And so for me, I went, well, you've got to understand that definition of green in order to understand to me, it expands why Teena symbolizes herself as wanting to be green, or says she wants to be green. Right, right. Oh. Because to her, this is complete life. You know, the earth, which she also raises. That's why there's so much travel in this record, I think. It's almost like she's flying. I mean, do you get the sense in Emerald City, you go from that title song to Once Is Not Enough. Right. And Lips to Find You. Yeah. Oh, well, what about Once Is Not Enough? Well, it's about the speed. She talks a lot about speed in that song. And so, you know, there's like these little glimmers, which she does, again, throughout her work. These seeds that are cluing you in. And it's really up to you as the listener to put it all together. Are you going to invest enough with her to understand what she's saying? Because she's not going to spell it all out for you. Ever. 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 Oh, man. Once Is Not Enough. Should have been a single. I don't know. As I've been listening to this record and trying to unlock, if you will, the things that she was saying in this record as pity, or as we're supposed to understand that this is pity, not Teena. Right. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know, that whole thing with Rick James, that is something that I have to admit, that kind of flew by me. It kind of flew by me. Because I never really listened to Flake. Like after Glow with Rick James, it was like, okay. Well, I pushed because he actually dedicated a song to her on that record. Right. Slow and Easy. And there's a poem. And she dedicated on this record a song to Rick. So to me, I said, okay, they're talking to each other again. This is the way. Because there was also, aside from whatever may or may not have been happening for them personally, there were 5 years they were contractually, legally not allowed to record together. Right, right. And so I felt like she was constantly raising this signal and saying, yeah, so we can't record together, but we're still going to talk to each other. True, true. And y'all are going to know about it. Right, right. So, I mean, they were definitely each other's muses, no matter which way you slice it. And it was really nice to be able to finally hear
her get together with him on Naked to the World. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I can disagree with that at all when it comes to, you know, they were really absolutely sending signals to each other when it comes to their records and everything. And you also kind of notice when she leaves her epic that influence, even though she is sending those signals, that influence of Rick over her is kind of melting away. You know, and I
Yes.
think Emerald City was definitely the album where she had to really kind of prove herself. She always had an ace up her sleeve. She always had, you know, somebody that had something to do with that Buffalo connection. In this album, I think she specifically tried not to, you know. So, and then also there was, you know, things were changing in '86. You know, there, you know, what black music was doing, they were incorporating more rap. There was, you know, the artists themselves are getting younger, or being maligned to the side in a different genre, the Quiet Storm genre, a few different genres, adult contemporary, urban adult contemporary, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, ridiculous. And then also music is becoming disposable. And
Right.
here's Tina trying her hardest to come out with these records that are, you know, that will last a lifetime.
Well, she's serving like Joni Mitchell as
Yeah,
well, which Prince was doing. I mean, this is the other piece. Like
right.
Prince is very much equally a poet and equally influenced by Joni, and so I think they share that as well. But
True.
these Prince, particularly the record Around the World,
Right.
like that's another opus. I mean, that is a mission. It's a mission
Yeah,
statement.
sure
And
was.
you raised a really important point too, about the production and the Buffalo connection. So I also noticed this week, I think this is the only record of hers that Bobby Brooks did not engineer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because I was
Yeah.
looking today for the Buffalo connections and I went, wow,
Right.
Bobby didn't even engineer this record. And Bobby engineered everything from the first record
Everything.
to the end,
And right.
except I believe for this one.
Right.
And there's an article also in Blues and Soul magazine
All
that
right.
raises your point about the sound changing, her sound.
Right.
And so she said, the idea is to draw new faces into my audience. I've mixed it up a lot on this album. There's rock and roll, R&B, Latin, jazz, but I've tried to make it all very contemporary. I got rid of the big sound,
Ooh.
the
Okay.
horns and stuff. It's simply a matter of stretching myself and to an extent the audience. And so this was also experimental.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be, and I said this to you before, but I wouldn't doubt it if this was a left field version of Irons in the Fire. I think
Totally.
it totally, because Irons in the Fire, for those that are watching and are trying to get what we're talking about here, was basically the first record that on Motown that Teena Marie had basically creative control, but then also had the Buffalo connection. So you had all of those folks on this album, and it's very much punk funk, and yeah. So this album is totally saying, once again, I'm here. I'm not just this pop artist that you want me to be. This is the layers that I have to give you, and hopefully you'll be here for the ride when that album ends. You know,
Yes. Yes.
epic. Why did you drop this record? Okay, I'm so mad.
Well, let's also say here, because Lips to Find You was the first single, Love Me Down Easy was the second. Love Me Down Easy was a smart single choice, but her single choices throughout her epic career were always strange to me.
They were trash. They were trash.
Because she never had a ballad. She never had a first single as a ballad.
Right.
And I always felt like the ballads were the strongest and what people really, really knew her for.
Right.
I mean, she had Square Biz, so when I'm not underestimating the impact of Square Biz and Sucker for Love and those songs from the Motown years, but her ballads, to me, would have had also a lot more crossover if that's what they were interested in. A
Right.
lot more crossover potential.
I agree. I agree totally. I mean, again, Love Me Down Easy. In fact, I think this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk about Emerald City, because Love Me Down Easy is probably one of her most emotive, one of her coldest ballads that she's ever put out. Ever. Okay, ever. For those who do not know Emerald City or any of Teena Marie's collection, hell, start at Love Me Down Easy and then go to the beginning. Because I'm telling you, she's, yeah. I mean, that, oh, it's, they should have started that ballad. They should have started with the ballad. I get it. Again, you know, the funky white girl, all that other stuff, you know, they went with that angle, but they shouldn't have done that. I mean, like, really, we went through 3 albums where they did that. Fix It was the first one, Fix It and Playboy and Robbery before Dear Lover.
They really thought that was going to be a pop hit. They really thought Robbery was just,
oh my God. Oh my goodness. And the video is so ridiculous. And just, oh my goodness. I don't, you know, like this closeted white boy as her, you know, love interest and everything. Like, come on.
This is not Teena. This is not Teena.
It's not Teena. This is not Teena at all. So,
and we do get Teena in Lips to Find You, the video, at least. I feel like we really see Teena. She's there with, in the video. You can find this is on YouTube, and Devo's got it up, so it's good quality. But you'll see her with her girls. You see her with Mickey, Mickey Hearn, Boyce, and Ellis, and Penny, Rick's sister.
Yeah. So, yeah, Lips to Find You. I've been trying my hardest to love this record, and I don't know if I was at Epic at this time, I would have been like, nah. I think this should have been, again, it should have been, again, the hits on this album, Shangri-La.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say Out on a Limb. Love Me Down Easy.
Out on a Limb Part 2.
Out on a Limb Part 2. More Potent, though. Oh, my God. Woo, it hits me in the, like, that last minute and a half hits me in the gut every time I listen to that record. And that's been that way since ever since I listened to the record, since day one. And then maybe Lips to Find You, but Once Is Not Enough is really good. And Sunny Skies should have also been utilized as a Quiet Storm track and or maybe even for a jazz brunch, you know? So, oh man, I'm just mad at Epic. I'm still mad at them, you know, because they were trying to fit her in a box that they just couldn't do. They just shouldn't have done it.
And there were some concessions. We should also raise that the original cover image was intended to be this photo, which I'm going to try to share right there. You can kind of see. So that's Teena and her goddaughter, Janae, who might be watching tonight. I'm not sure.
I hope so.
She shared this. I love Janae. But this was the original image. And Epic freaked out when they saw it.
God.
And they said, we can't have a white woman with a black child. We don't know what to do with that. And so the vision, to me, knowing that the vision got shifted, also helps inform how the record was promoted. Because I would also bet, and I don't know this is just me speculating, based on the little bit I've read and a little bit I've heard about Teena through the years, is that if she had to go through all of that on the front end, she was done.
Right.
By the time the record came out.
I think so. I absolutely think so. Hi, Rita Rambo. Just wanted to say hello. You're one of my favorites. Okay. That's another thing we have in common, Tim.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I really think, and I think, again, Teena Marie was such a renegade anyway. You know, we're going to do the album our way. And she's made compromises over the years. I mean, I really do feel like Robbery, Star Child, those were records that she made compromises in, because there are some records where it just does not sound like her. Once again, title tune from Robbery, absolutely not. That was made for like somebody like Sheena Easton.
Yes.
Yeah, or because she was putting out records like that at the time. Maybe even Donna Summer,
Right.
someone else. Someone
Yes.
else. They wasted their time on that, and then it just doesn't even make sense. I mean, she still nailed it, but you know,
Well, this feels like, and I want to go to You So Heavy because the last
yes,
song on side one, because You So Heavy was the one, as you're listening to it for the first time, when I heard this record, I was, in the story, Emerald, Emerald City, Once Is Not Enough, Lips to Find You. And then we got to You So Heavy. I was like, holy crap. This woman just sang the absolute, and then you've got Stevie Ray Vaughan on guitar.
oh man,
This is a masterpiece of a song. And
yes,
then you read the little liner, the liner note, and it says, for Rick.
or Rick, right?
And so, which,
love how they
so
did
the
that.
song
Okay.
is all about ultimately a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah.
And so the second verse, consider being my love ahoy, sugarcoat me in your path. I'll surrender. I need a little sympathy when there's no one you can trash. Call on me. I'm your pacifier. When you need some company, sister can't fly on one wing, so just give her what she needs.
Woo!
Sparkle.
Knock knock.
Sparkle reference.
Who's there? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're also getting possibly, I don't want to say we know for sure because we don't, but it does say for Rick. So we're getting.
There's a love respect.
Yeah. So we're getting a little glimmer of why that romance was short-lived.
Right.
Destiny, that answers the question that Destiny asked a minute ago about their involvement. Short-lived, but you also get there. Also musical, as Rick said, till the end. They were musical soulmates.
Right.
And so you're getting a glimmer into this connection, but this is also a Teena Marie we have not heard before.
Right.
Because this is a rock track, period.
That's funk metal. That's definitely funk metal. And Stevie Ray Vaughan knocks it out of the park.
Another renegade.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And let's also, I am spacing the name, but they actually said that this ended up on a few heavy metal lists for the end of 1986, mainly because of not only the lyricism, but also because of Stevie Ray Vaughan murdering everybody on this track. So yeah, and he always did that, but this one, it just seemed extra special. I think she was probably saying, you know what? Let's hit Rick in the feelings. Let's hit him hard. Okay. First, we're going to trash him. Okay. We're going to trash him with lyrics, and then this could have been us, but you're of course playing. So yeah. Well,
and of course we can't forget that he got her back years later on Urban Rhapsody with "Never Say You Love Me Again."
Right.
This was also them to the end. To the end. But side two is important. I don't want to say it's more important, but to me, it's the essential piece of the record because you get this warp speed of travel. You're in Spain, you're in Emerald City, you're on the freeway going somewhere. You're on a ship. On You So Heavy.
Right.
But then you get to side two and you're having a spiritual experience.
Exactly.
Side two, so Shangri-La opens this. And so Shangri-La, it is rumored to be, again, I don't know, I've been told and I have read some speculation through the years that Shangri-La is actually about a hotel in Santa Monica.
Okay, I see.
That was known to be at one point a celebrity hotspot. Madonna stayed there, JFK Jr., the Dalai Lama, and it's also, from what I've read, known to be a gay resort as well. And so, I don't know that it's about this Hotel Shangri-La. Right. But the chorus is the thing that everybody points to when they say that. The down by the sea where the sand meets the Shangri-La. Right. It's on a waterfront.
Right.
So
can make so many pretty memories.
yes.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And your Milky Way is so heavenly.
Oh, okay. Now listen. This is probably the raciest Teena Marie album or record. Like,
Yes.
you know, with all of her entendres and everything, her food entendres and everything like that. Orange marmalade, candy coated kisses. Oh gosh. Oh
It's
man.
such a great lyric.
It's so hot. It's a hot record. Like, I mean, I'm really, again, I listened to pretty much everything Teena Marie that I could possibly listen to in the past month. And I have yet to find something even warm as Mama's Oven. It's close. That's from 1994's Passion Play, by the way, y'all. And not available online, so good luck. But like Shangri-La is just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And also it was her going back to the changing of music and everything like that. I feel like this was her way after Square Biz, because she was rapping on Square Biz, did a fantastic job. She was rapping on Help Youngblood Get to the Freaky
That's
Party
right.
and everything, which is my jam.
Yes. I love that track.
I'm telling you. And message music. So this is her way of kind of communicating with the rap community at this time. That, yeah, I can do this too. I could do this just like you can and everything like that. And actually put some strength and some forethought into it. It's not just the Pee-wee dance, you know?
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So Batucada Suite
Right.
also connects. So Batucada Suite comes under Shangri-La really abruptly too. I love the lack of
Cold. Right, yeah.
So
get off.
Right. So on the back or on the insert, she talks about the rhythms that are used throughout this album. And you notice like there's percussion happening underneath, like even on side one, is particularly on Once Is Not Enough and Lips to Find You. You listen, there's a whole rhythmic thing happening underneath the guitar. Underneath so these rhythms, where is this on here? The print is so tiny.
I know.
So they were using bata drums. Okay. Bata are the sacred drums of the Lusimi Yoruba tribe. Their religion is called Santeria. The rhythms played on Emerald City are called Shasha Alafum. They are usually used to communicate with Shango, who is the god of fire, thunder, and lightning. Collectively, they are called bata. But individually, they are, and I can't see this or read this, Okankolu, Hotele, and Aya. The instruments are African, but Hustler played an Afro-Cuban version. On Batucada Suite, we forsook the contemporary kit drum sounds to embrace surdo, the large drum, and the basis for Batucada Suite. So,
okay, here we go.
So she's also like, we're traveling again, but she's also saying, this is my spirit base.
Right, right. Yeah. She's also bringing pity back into the mix and everything like that, you know, speaking in she did this.
Yes.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And referring to her given name, Mary.
Right.
Mary's into new things.
Mary's into new things. So yeah, so it was a very great teachable moment here, you know, that easily anyone that listens to that record, they will immediately pick up. But again, just for the sake of continuity, because you know that's how I roll, it comes out of nowhere. Okay?
Yes.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yes. Yes.
Just out of nowhere. Like, I think it could have been a little bit better if it was on side one. You know? Maybe. Right.
But there's a journey to get to Batucada.
Right. Which is the Shiv. She's in Spain. Right.
Yeah. She's taking you all through.
She is doing that.
Yeah. And so I think, and again, we can't speak for her, but I think
in her mind, I wish she was still with us. You know?
I do too.
Because
I promise you, nobody else would be asking her these questions.
I know. Didn't she say at one point, she was like, yeah, like, why don't y'all sing this song? Like, why don't you sing this song in concert? She was like, well, y'all didn't give a crap then. I'm not going to play it now. Did she say something like that? I could have swore I read that somewhere.
I
That was a
don't know.
direct quote.
I want to also, yeah, Marty Lou. I'm sorry if I'm reading. Is it Marley?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's
Marley
too far
Lou,
away
she
from me.
says,
Marley Lou.
I think Mary's into new things was her way of telling people she wasn't just an R&B singer, which I can agree with that angle as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And again, we have to also emphasize that the pop audience is now supposedly on this journey with her. And they
Yes.
started with the album before. If they were there with Motown, Irons on the Fire, It Must Be Magic, Lady T, Wild and Peaceful, you would know right away that Mary was not, absolutely not into new things. This was nothing new for her.
Right.
So, yeah. So again, these people didn't understand her at all when it came to this album. And that album, again, I would say, again, Batakata Suite is probably the record with the most authenticity on that record, mainly because, of course, the backstory, and also you're not using synthesized drums. You're not using, it's heartfelt. It's great. The horns, because there are no horns on the rest of the record, and we're getting like Phoenix horns-esque sounds, arrangements coming from that. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's important also to, in a time, this is, probably 20 years before we were having really large conversations in the way we do now about cultural appropriation. She's
Right.
telling you right here where it all came from.
Right, exactly.
And she's pointing people back. And I'm sure that the label also found that challenging to deal with, because, it's a, interest in music and interest in art is a historical lesson.
Absolutely.
And so, you can't just have pop art
Right.
without having some understanding of culture and the world and history, because it all comes from some place.
There's a purpose behind everything,
Yes.
everything. And you say that, she's like, okay, as you were saying, this is where it all came from with Batakata Suite. In this day and age, because we would again have these big conversations about, is Bruno Mars or these other artists, especially at that time, and you would see this trend. In fact, I'd like to call this, I don't know if anybody watches The Strain out there. It's a novel, and it turned into a movie, a show that was on FX, and it was about zombie vampires taking over New York City. Here's a spoiler, sorry, they kill one of the masters, but they thought they killed him, only to find out that the Crimson Worm basically went underground to wait for a new host, new host. Okay. I've applied this to the white pop female singers that were coming out in the 80s and beyond. Olivia Newton-John was one. They were playing her records on Black radio. Sheena Easton not only got the Crimson Worm, but she stayed there.
Yes, she did.
She stayed there and got the code sign from Prince. Okay, so there we are with that. By the time it was all over for her, at least with mainstream music, she was a Black artist. Okay, the confirmation, the transformation had been complete. Pink, Miley Cyrus, all these other folks got the Crimson Worm. Teena Marie, again, being an R&B singer, being somebody that knows her history, did not do this, did not want any part of that Crimson Worm thing, So, yeah, there we are with that. And good luck watching The Strain, everybody. It's a great one.
Well, I think it's also important to note that what I'm told, again, what I've read through the years, is that she also limited what promotion she was willing to do.
Okay.
And so that's why we only got one video, Star Child and for Emerald City, because there was, I think my perception is she had limits about how she would be exposed, and how people would find her. I mean, anybody I know that has ever really fallen in love with Teena Marie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a relationship.
It is. It is a volatile one.
Yeah, it's an investment because you
Yeah.
really, I mean, I think about all the things I would have never probably, and maybe I would have because I, you know, had a similar trajectory to Teena in some ways. But I mean, I found Intazagi Shange because of Teena Marie.
All right on.
And she freaking changed my life.
Okay.
And so I think about all these pieces of the puzzle that I might not have found had I never found her breadcrumbs.
Right.
The things she was pointing me back to. So I'll always be grateful for that. And I mean, this record is just chock full of them. I mean, there are so many breadcrumbs in this record. So we did talk about Love Me Down Easy.
Oh, man.
Which, by the way, just, you know, because we can, this was the 12-inch of Love Me Down.
Y'all, listen to this record, please. I'm telling you, listen to
Please do it.
Please do it.
One of the greatest love songs you'll ever hear.
Woo,
it really
boy.
is.
Oh, man.
And then she closes the record in the thing we love. I mean, one of the many things we love about her, but to me, her jazz cuts have always been the most gorgeous pieces of art ever. My favorite Teena Marie song of all time is Tune In Tomorrow from Irons in the Fire, written with Mickey.
Right. Oh, man.
Rest in peace, Mickey, too. I mean, I really want to shout out Mickey Boyce Ellis, who was her best friend from elementary school.
Elementary school, right.
To the end. And Mickey died a few years ago. And just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I get a little misty thinking about Mickey. But Sunny, so the album closes with that kind of song, Sunny Skies, which I'm guessing she wrote based on the video we've seen. She wrote this sometime possibly around Street Songs, Street Song Records, 1980, possibly 81. And she's got Stanley Clarke. I totally agree, Marley.
Totally agree as well.
Saying that Teena is not just the difference between a songwriter and a composer, and Teena was a composer. I absolutely agree.
I agree. Absolutely. Thank you, Marley.
Yeah. The Sunny Skies. So she's got Stanley Clarke. She's got Branford Marsalis. Yeah. This is an epic song, and it's and 8 minutes at that. I mean, this is one of those, in which Teena was also known for. The tour de force. You're going to invest 10 minutes of your life in this song. And gorgeous lyric, but it's also melancholy. It's an incredibly melancholy track to end this intergalactic journey on. Talk about Sunny Skies.
Well, once again, I think Sunny Skies is, you know, you hear shades of Sarah Vaughan. And I know, like, all of her influences when it comes to jazz, they were never that far off when you listen to one of her jazz selections. Casanova Brown, Tune In Tomorrow, and again, Sunny Skies is pretty much the opus. It's the opus of pretty much her jazz capabilities. Even though we see it a little bit later as in mainstream music and R&B and everything, people start to go back to, you know, jazz and everything, at least in the 90s and early 90s anyway. It actually makes me messed up. Sunny Skies is, again, it's, as I said earlier, she's really trying to at least let the listener know that this is her, and there's really nothing you can do about it. And I hope that you can ride with me or don't. And that record is, I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's well orchestrated. It's just, she really did a good job.
Well, there's something in these love songs, like Tune In Tomorrow, Casanova Brown, Dear Lover, there's something about this part of her heart that, to me, is so beautiful and on another level, sad. You know, there's a sadness that comes with these songs as well in many ways, because you recognize how challenging I think romance was for her. And I don't want to, again, I can't speak for her, but these are the glimmers we get in to her reality from
and remember,
songs.
songwriters, music composers only write about things that they know most of the time. So absolutely.
And you just get what a a deep well I think that she is, because we're still drawing from her body of work and still finding information. I mean, I listened this week to this record probably 6 times. I heard something different every time.
7 times.
Every time I went, oh, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. Oh, that line. That's a great line. And I've been listening to this record for 20 some years. You know, I found it in the 90s. And so, and Marley also, Marley, I don't know you, but I like you.
Okay. I think I played Sunny Skies for 24 hours straight when she passed. It was the personification of how I felt at that moment. Same. Yeah.
Marley raised that there is an extended version of Sunny Skies on the Love Songs compilation. Nerd moment. You can also stream that because the CD isn't, I don't think the physical CD even is available anymore, but you can buy it, you can stream it. The extended version is, to me, the version.
Consensus version, right.
I would also recommend this reissue that soulmusic.com produced a few years ago with great liner notes by my friend Scott Galloway.
Love you, Scott.
Another wonderful music critic. David Nathan has a dedication in here. David and Scott have been long time advocates of Teena's, champions of her work. So pick that up while you're doing your. But we also, I think you have it too, Nick. I saw you hold it up. Do you have the green?
I do not. I have the promo copy though of Teena Marie. Yeah. So yeah, it's a. And there's no gatefold or anything like that, unfortunately. It was just, pretty much the album cover and then, of course, the inner sleeve and everything, unfortunately. But, yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I still got the message.
That's right. Well, and so if we were to summarize, I mean, I think that Emerald City is, to me, the gateway in. If you're listening, not just to
the hits,
for the hits, this is where you start. If you're a new listener and you've never experienced a Teena Marie full-length album, I would say start here.
I agree. I think that again, she maps it all out for you. If you if you're just streaming.
Yes.
You're just listening to the record itself, because at this point, if you're not a record collector, we get it. Nowadays, liner notes are a thing of the past. I hate that. Even though vinyl is making a comeback. So please read everything of these artists and everything like that. There's a process through all of this. Don't be casual about your music. These people are going through stuff. But on that, it's mapped out. Everything, all of her influences, everything that she loves, and all the things that she had to face were on this album.
Yes.
And again, it's a weird spot because she was also more or less, probably less, trying to appease the pop audiences that ended up coming through and all of that. Which again, she just couldn't be tamed in that way. And I'm glad, I think we're a better audience. The Teena Marie fans are a better audience for it because she didn't compromise her identity, and I'm so proud of that. Yeah.
Well, and I think we should also note, like, very quickly in our last 5 minutes, like, there was a price for this record. I mean, there were years up until the 2000s, she didn't perform anything from this album live.
Ever.
And so, I think there was. That had to be a bittersweet, or not even bittersweet, that had to be a challenging thing, because you birthed these songs and you clearly know you have fans who love them, but if there's some emotional dissonance with the experience of the songs, I've had that with songs. You just go, yeah, I'm never singing that. Never singing it live. Nope. You know, and I was happy when she did start doing a few of these
I'm
songs.
glad too.
I think Sunny Skies is the only one I know of, but I could be
Right.
wrong.
Right.
But there was some, you know, some meeting of these songs in the end. I think it's important to note.
Right. She did do Sunny Skies on Video Soul, and I remember that. She did that in If I Were a Bell and all of that. It
Right.
was in '90 while she was
That's
promoting.
right, with Bernadette. That's
Yep,
right.
Bernadette. So she didn't necessarily stop doing them, like I said earlier, but I do believe that, again, this was one of her most personal records because, again, it was a concept. Of course, all the albums are personal, but this one was just a tad bit more. And for it to be received so coldly because for whatever reason, you know, well, what would you do? I mean, again, you are a songwriter, you're a singer, you're a composer and everything like that. Would you, you know, if somebody actually said this record that you worked really hard on is trash, what do you do?
Yeah.
And what would you do, watchers? What would you do?
Right.
You know?
It's something to think about.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got 3 minutes. So I want to say really quickly too that I've discovered this week, and I feel like an idiot for not knowing this, and I want to connect Teena to some of the artists that came a few years later.
Right.
I did not realize that Michelle A was a huge Teena Marie fan.
Yes.
And so it made me go back, and I love Michelle A, but it made me go back and listen to that first record.
Right.
And I totally heard Teena Marie in that record.
All day long. Something in my heart is totally Teena Marie. The phrasing and everything like that, I knew that right off. You know, I wasn't really hearing anything else but Teena Marie on that album. So, or at least the ballads, you know.
Right. So go listen if you don't know who that is. Michelle A is somebody you need to know about because she is great.
Yeah.
Okay. A minute 58. Are you doing any live sets?
Yes.
Something. Yes.
Yes. Cabin Fever on Wednesdays on Twitch with my boy John Sean. It's brought to you by Sophisticated Delinquency, his company, and my radio show, The Looseness, which airs every Wednesday as well on the Sound of Duval and it's archived on SoundCloud. And we're also bringing back Quarantunes, which is on Fridays, Friday nights around 11-ish at night. And that will also be on Twitch and Facebook. And sometimes on Instagram Live. It's called Music Designed to Move Your Behind now, though. So
awesome.
So come and join us, everybody. It's been nice having you here with me. Thank you with us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tim. This has been a fun time.
We're going to have to do it again.
I was nervous as heck, but, you know.
No, you were great. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're still finalizing what that next record's going to be, but we'll post next Thursday and let you know. So I hope you'll join us again, and this will go up on YouTube for people to continue to find it and learn about the music. So until next time, and until you and I do it again, have a great night, y'all.
Thank you. Never stop learning.
That's right. Have a good night, my friend.
Good night, Tim. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me for this week's Have You Ever Heard? I'd love it if you leave us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks. Until then, I hope you enjoy the tunes.